My name's Daniel, I'm 33, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the responsible one in the family. The guy who always had a steady job, paid his bills on time, never made a scene. The one they could count on when things got messy. But here's the ugly truth, they never really saw me as a son or a brother. They saw me as their safety net. Their insurance policy. Their human ATM. It started small. Gas money borrowed by my brother that never came back. A few grocery runs my mom asked me to cover when she forgot her wallet. Helping with a car repair when my dad claimed he was short that month. At first, I didn't mind. That's what family does, right? We help each other. But over time, those little favors turned into a full-blown system. I was paying part of the mortgage when my dad's hours got cut. I was bailing out my brother when he got evicted from his apartment, twice. I was even covering deposits for family events, always with the same line, "We'll pay you back, you know we will." Spoiler, they never did. The worst part. None of it seemed to matter. No thank yous. No appreciation. Just this unspoken expectation that I'd pick up the slack. My brother, Adam, was the charmer, the golden boy who could do no wrong, even when he was jobless and broke. My parents defended him constantly. "He's just finding his way," they'd say. Meanwhile, I was the one literally keeping the roof over their heads. Still, I told myself it was fine. That maybe one day they'd see me for more than just the guy with the checkbook. That illusion shattered one night, during an important family dinner Adam invited me to. I thought maybe, for once, I'd be part of the celebration. Instead, I found out just how disposable I really was. The dinner was for Adam's big announcement, his engagement to a woman named Brooke. My parents were over the moon about her, calling her an angel before I'd even met her. They decided to host the celebration at a swanky rooftop restaurant downtown. When my mom called to invite me, her voice had that syrupy tone she always used when she wanted something. "Danny, sweetheart, we'd love it if you could come. It's going to be such a special night." Of course, I said yes. I mean, it was my brother's engagement. But then she added, almost whispering, "If it's not too much trouble, could you help with the reservation? Just to hold it, we'll pay you back." Right then, I should have known. "We'll pay you back" was code for "you'll never see that money again." But I agreed, like always. I called the restaurant, booked a private section for 20 people, and gave them my card for the deposit. The night of the dinner, I showed up right on time, 7 p.m. sharp. I'd even gone out of my way to look the part. Navy suit, polished shoes, cuff links I'd been saving. I carried a bottle of champagne and a custom card with their initials embossed. When I walked into the private dining space, the scene looked perfect. String lights overhead, a live jazz trio, floral centerpieces. My parents, Adam, Brooke, and her entire family were already there. Laughing, clinking glasses, buzzing with excitement. I smiled, expecting at least a nod of recognition. Instead, Adam barely glanced at me. He smirked and said, "Oh hey, glad you made it." Then he pointed to a fold-out chair shoved against the wall, next to a trash bin. "Sorry, man. This table's for family only. But hey, there's a spot for you over there." For a moment, I thought he was joking. My chest tightened as I looked at my mom, searching for some kind of protest. She just gave me a tight smile. Dad awkwardly raised his glass. Brooke didn't even look up. And then, like a perfectly timed punchline, people actually laughed. So I walked over, set my champagne down by the chair, and sat. Alone. Coat still on. No one asked me what I wanted to drink. No one asked me to join a toast. I was literally seated by the trash at my brother's engagement dinner, after I'd paid to make the night possible. And yet, the real slap in the face hadn't even come yet. For nearly 2 hours, I sat there, invisible. They laughed, toasted, told stories. Adam gave a long speech about how lucky he was to be surrounded by his closest people. Brooke's family showered my parents with compliments. My mom even teared up when Brooke called her the best future mother-in-law a girl could ask for. Me. I might as well have been the waiter's shadow. I didn't eat. I didn't drink. I wasn't offered a single bite of that extravagant dinner I had literally funded. And then came the moment, the check. I watched the waiter approach Adam's table with a small leather folder in hand. He glanced around the group, then hesitated. Finally, his eyes landed on me. "Excuse me, sir," he said quietly. "The total for the event is $3,218. Should I charge the same card for the balance?" Every head at the table turned. Adam leaned back, smug as ever. "Oh yeah," he said casually. "Danny's got it." The waiter looked at me expectantly. My pulse pounded in my ears, but my voice came out calm. "Not my table," I said, just loud enough for everyone to hear. "I was told this section's for family only." The silence was instant, sharp, like glass shattering. Adam's grin faltered. My mom's face tensed. Brooke's father raised a brow. Even the jazz band seemed to quiet. The waiter shifted awkwardly. "But sir, you made the reservation." "I did. I cut in. And I paid the deposit. But I'm not with them. I'm over here, at the side table." I stood slowly, slid on my coat, and nodded toward the trash bin beside my lonely chair. Apparently, that's where I belong. For a second, no one moved. Adam looked like someone had slapped him with a brick. My dad stiffened. My mom opened her mouth, then shut it again. Brooke's father muttered something under his breath, unimpressed. And me. For the first time in my life, I wasn't shrinking. I wasn't the silent wallet. I was done. "Daniel, wait, what are you doing?" My mom's voice cracked, low and shaky, like she was trying to keep things under control. I shrugged. "Just following the seating chart." Adam said this table's for family only, so I assumed that meant I wasn't included. The waiter hovered between us, still clutching the bill like it was radioactive. Adam's smirk snapped into something uglier. "Don't be ridiculous," he barked. "It was just a joke, man. Lighten up. You always take things so personally." I almost laughed. That line, that same tired excuse. Every insult, every dismissal, every cruel little jab had always been brushed off with those words. "It's just a joke." But I wasn't laughing anymore. "Yeah," I said slowly, my voice steady. "That's the problem. You think everything's a joke, as long as it's at someone else's expense." For the first time all night, Brooke looked unsettled. Her father turned to Adam, eyes narrowed. "You invited your brother to your engagement dinner and sat him next to the trash can?" he asked, incredulous. Adam's face flushed. He looked at my mom for backup, but she forced a tight smile. "Let's not blow this out of proportion. Daniel is just being dramatic. He's always been sensitive." Sensitive. That was her favorite weapon. Every time I stood up for myself, every time I asked for even a sliver of respect, I was brushed aside as too sensitive. I took a breath and stepped forward, just enough that my words carried clearly across the table. "You know what? You're right. I am sensitive. Sensitive enough to notice when I'm treated like garbage. sensitive enough to know the difference between being a son and being a wallet. The air was so still you could hear the jazz band stumble through a wrong note. Adam shifted uncomfortably. My mom's hand trembled on her wine glass. And in that frozen silence, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: control. For once, I wasn't their safety net. I wasn't their punchline. I was finally the one pulling the strings. I didn't wait for anyone to respond. I slipped a tip into the waiter's hand, enough to cover the deposit I'd already paid, and said, "This should settle my part. The rest? That's on them." The poor guy looked torn, but he nodded. He wasn't paid enough to referee family wars. I turned to leave, but Adam snapped, his voice sharp with panic. "Danny, sit down. Stop making a scene. Just cover it, like you always do. That's your role, isn't it?" His words hit harder than I expected, but not in the way he thought. They landed like confirmation. Like proof. That's what I was to them: a role. A function. Not a brother, not a son, just the guy who picked up the check when things got inconvenient. I looked back one last time. My mom's eyes begged me to cave. My dad's face was stone, unreadable. Adam's smirk had twisted into a snarl. Brooke stared at her fiancé like she was seeing him clearly for the first time. I smiled, calm and deliberate. "Not anymore." Then I walked out. Past the hostess stand. Past the glittering rooftop view. Down the elevator, onto the street, where the cool night air felt like the first real breath I'd taken in years. That was the night everything changed. 4 years, I'd been the quiet safety net. Always there, always reliable, always unthanked. But walking away from that dinner flipped a switch inside me. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want applause. I just wanted freedom. So I gave it to myself. The very next week, I stopped sending help money. No more covering part of the mortgage. No more quiet grocery runs. No more surprise transfers to bail Adam out of another bad decision. At first, I thought maybe they wouldn't notice right away. I was wrong. It took less than 2 weeks for my phone to buzz with a familiar text from my dad. "Property taxes are due." Not a hello. Not a thank you. Just a demand. As if nothing had changed. But everything had changed. I stared at the text for a long moment, almost amused. Property taxes are due. No greeting, no kindness, no acknowledgement of what happened at that dinner. Just cold, transactional expectation. The old me would have sighed, transferred the money, and told myself I was doing the right thing. But that version of me was gone. So I typed back, calm and deliberate. "I'm sure Adam will handle it. Since the house is his family's pride, after all." It took less than 5 minutes for my mom to call. I let it ring. Then another text popped up. "Daniel, please don't be like this. We need to talk." Oh, now they wanted to talk. Now that the bills were piling up, and reality was slapping them across the face. I waited an hour, then replied. "There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice. Now you can live with it." I figured that would be the end of it, at least for the night. But Adam couldn't resist. Around 11 p.m., his name lit up my phone. "Dude, why are you being such a drama queen? It's not a big deal. Just help them out like you always do." I almost laughed. Not a big deal? The same brother who shoved me by the trash at his engagement dinner was now lecturing me about family duty? I typed back. "No. You've got it covered, remember? You're the favorite." A few minutes later, his reply buzzed in. "Oh my God, Are you seriously mad about that dinner? Grow up, man. It was just a joke. It's just money. My jaw tightened. Just money. Amazing how suddenly it was just money, now that he was the one expected to pay it. So I sent one last message. Great. Then you won't mind using some of your money to cover the taxes. Good luck. Silence. But it didn't stay silent for long. The next morning, another text came through, from Mom this time. And it wasn't polite. Daniel, we are your parents. Family takes care of each other. We did everything for you growing up. Now you're abandoning us. Abandoning them. That word almost made me throw my phone across the room. After everything I'd given, after years of sacrificing my own stability for theirs, I was the one abandoning them? No. I was finally setting myself free. I didn't answer right away. I sat there with my mom's message glowing on the screen. You're abandoning us. 4 years, I'd bent over backward, covering bills, fixing problems, patching holes in a ship they kept drilling new leaks into. And now, the moment I stopped being their wallet, I was the villain. I finally replied. You made it clear I wasn't part of the family when you left me out at that dinner. I'm just the bank account, right? Well, the bank's closed. I imagined my mom gasping dramatically, clutching her chest, like I'd just stabbed her in the heart. She had a talent for making herself the victim. About 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. This time it was Adam. You're unbelievable. You're gonna let Mom and Dad drown just because your feelings got hurt? Pathetic. I clenched my jaw. I typed back, short and sharp. I'm not letting them drown. I'm letting them swim on their own for once. The 3 dots popped up as he typed, then disappeared. A minute later another text came through. Fine. I'll remember this when they're gone and you're left with nothing. There it was. The threat. The golden carrot he thought he held over me. Inheritance. The dangling promise that if I just kept paying, maybe one day it would all come back to me. I laughed bitterly. He didn't know I already suspected the truth, that everything had already been promised to him. But I didn't respond. Not this time. I put my phone face down, took a deep breath, and felt the weight lifting. That night was the first in years I slept without anxiety gnawing at me. And in the morning, when I checked my phone again, I had a string of messages waiting. From Mom, we raised you. How can you turn your back on us? From Dad, we're not asking for much. Just a little help to get through. From Adam, you'll regret this. Don't come crawling back when you're cut off. Cut off. As if I hadn't already been cut out of everything that mattered long ago. That was the morning I decided. No more arguing. No more explanations. No more guilt. I was going no contact. Going no contact felt strange at first. The silence was heavy, like walking through a house after a storm when everything's still wet but eerily quiet. For the first time in years, my phone wasn't buzzing with, Danny, can you cover this? Or, son, we just need a little help until payday. Days turned into weeks. I poured my energy back into myself, extra hours at work, gym sessions, even a weekend trip I'd put off for years. For once, my money was mine. My time was mine. And then, 3 weeks later, it happened. I stopped by my parents' house to grab an old box of childhood stuff they'd been storing. Dad wasn't home, but Mom let me in, her smile tight and brittle. She hovered as I went through the hall closet, clearly itching to start another guilt trip. When she finally left the room to make tea, I noticed a stack of papers on the counter. Legal documents. My curiosity got the better of me. I wasn't snooping, At least, that's what I told myself. But one folder caught my eye: estate plan and last will and testament. My stomach dropped. I opened it. My hands started to shake as I skimmed the lines. The house, the savings, the assets, all of it, everything, was listed under Adam's name. My name wasn't even mentioned, except for one generic line: we love both of our sons equally. Equally. That word burned in my chest. If this was their definition of equal, then what had I been doing all these years? Paying their mortgage, stocking their fridge, bailing out their golden boy, only to be erased from the future like I never existed? My throat tightened. I felt like a fool. A used-up, disposable fool. Just then, Dad walked in. He froze when he saw the will in my hands. His face drained of color. "Daniel, it's not what you think." I looked him dead in the eye. My voice was quiet, but steady. "Really? Because it looks pretty damn clear to me." For the first time in my life, I watched my father flinch, not because I raised my voice, but because I didn't. Dad opened his mouth, but all that came out was a weak sigh. "It's complicated." That was it. No apology, no explanation. Just two useless words, like they were enough to excuse years of using me as their crutch. My hands tightened around the folder. Complicated. I've been paying your mortgage, covering groceries, fixing the damn house, while Adam sat on his ass. And you still decided he's the only one who matters. The sound of teacups clinking made me turn. Mom was standing in the doorway, pale, eyes darting between us. When she realized I'd seen the will, her expression shifted: guilt, then defensiveness. "Daniel, honey," she began softly, like she was doing me a favor. "You don't need the inheritance. You have a good job. You're independent. Adam, well, he struggles. We just want to make sure he's taken care of." Something inside me snapped. Taken care of? I nearly laughed. You've been taking care of him his whole life. And you've been taking from me to do it. And now, when it's all said and done, I get nothing? Not even a mention. Mom's lip trembled. "We thought you'd understand. You're stronger than he is." That was their excuse. That because I was stronger, more reliable, more responsible, I didn't deserve recognition. I just deserved to carry the weight. I set the will down on the counter, my voice eerily calm. "Got it. Good to know exactly where we stand." I walked past them, toward the door. Mom's hand brushed my arm. Desperate. "Daniel, please, don't be like this. We're still family." I stopped, turned, and looked her dead in the eyes. "No. Family doesn't treat one son like a golden child and the other like a piggy bank. Whatever we were, it ends here." The last thing I heard as I stepped outside was the sharp crash of a teacup shattering against the floor. I didn't look back. Not when Mom called my name, not when Dad muttered something under his breath, not even when my phone buzzed non-stop on the drive home. For once, I didn't feel guilt tugging at me. I felt free. That night, I turned my phone off completely. And when I powered it back on the next morning, the messages were exactly what I expected. From Mom: "We're your parents. You owe us after everything we've done." From Dad: "We just need a little more time. Don't abandon us now." From Adam: "You're pathetic. Enjoy being alone when they're gone." I deleted every single one without replying. Weeks passed. The silence grew heavier, but lighter at the same time. No more sudden bills dropped in my lap. No more guilt trips disguised as family duty. No more being the background character funding their lives. And you know what? They survived. The world didn't end. The mortgage still got paid, though I doubt it was on time. Adam was forced to step up, or maybe mom and dad finally realized the golden boy's charm doesn't cover property taxes. Whatever the case, they figured it out. Without me, I started living for myself. Trips I'd never taken. Hobbies I'd shelved. Even just the luxury of looking at my bank account and knowing it was mine, every cent, mine. Sometimes I catch myself thinking about that night at the restaurant, Adam smirking as he pointed to the trash chair. And I smile, because that was the moment I stopped being their safety net and started being my own person. Family is supposed to mean love, loyalty, support. But sometimes family just means blood, nothing more. And when that blood tries to drain you dry, you're allowed to walk away. For the first time in years, I wasn't their wallet. I wasn't their backup plan. I was just Daniel. And that was enough.